you're going to look at your staff at a certain point and wonder, are they just overworked or do they just not care? All right, my friends, the Ultimate OD Podcast, we are talking staffing. Each and every one of you has to deal with staff. Whether you are an employee, you're an owner, or you're an associate, staffing matters. Let me tell you some things I've learned that make staffing a little bit more palatable, a little bit more successful in the sense of developing them. Okay? We have a lot of things to talk about. Listen, it'll be fun. Closing thought of the episode, this is the Ultimate OD Podcast. Here we go. All right, friends, the Ultimate OD Podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Thank you for the growth that we've seen. More listeners every day. Continue to send me emails, comments. I love hearing from you. In this world of endless amounts of content, you choose what you listen to, and I am honestly grateful, thankful that you listen to me. Today, I want to talk about something that's been happening in my office, and I'm sure, I almost guarantee it's happening at yours, and that's staffing. Okay? Over the past few weeks, we've hired a decent amount of new staff. I've shared with you over the past, we lost two main people, and getting those positions filled has been a slow, arduous process. It is not easy by any means right now. I was using a company called Build My Team, and not a huge fan. Not going great. We had two hires that we hired with them, and after about 12 months, those hires weren't as good as I had hoped. And when we used them this time, a lot of applications, but not a lot of people that made it to the next level, not a lot of people that we got to actually interview. And the people that they did send to us were, suspect at best. It just really wasn't a good fit. I don't think they saw the vision for what we needed. And getting compatibility with the office, you need to know the office you're working with, and I don't think they did a good job of that. That being said, we found people organically. Friends, family, connections that we've had, and we've asked people to come in. Now, two of my pearls that I have for hiring is, one, when you're interviewing a person, on interview day, that is the best they are ever going to be. They are trying to impress you. Yes, that's their best they have to offer. Once you hire them, then it's what can you do for them. They want time off. They want paid holidays. They want better chairs, better, environment, X, Y, and Z. Things that you've been doing for years aren't acceptable. That's just the nature of hiring and dealing with staff. I think it's kind of turning around a little bit right now that there's not as much power in the person being hired. There's a little bit of a regression to the mean. For a minute there, for the past 2 years, there was endless amount of jobs for people, and they had to pick of the litter. I think it's becoming less and less now. That being said, it's still hard to find good help. One of the things I always tell my managers is the devil you know is better than the devil that you don't. Okay? What that means is every one of your staff members has a flaw. You know it. It's there. You see it every day. But you know what that flaw is. You know how to work around it. The next person you hire may not have that flaw, but they're going to have their own things. Sometimes those things are worse than what you were dealing with. A lot of times I look at staff members or my managers and say, hey, this person's doing X, Y, or Z. We'd really kill for the staff member that left a few years ago or wasn't. I go, but remember when that person was here, they had these issues, and that was a thing, right? But you're like, oh, yeah, we'd love to have that now. So when you're hiring, know that they're trying to impress you at the beginning, and it's only going to get worse from there. So if they don't wow you at that first interview, move on. And second, don't always think the grass is greener. one of your key avenues to success is getting the most out of the staff that you have, making them as good as they possibly can be. That's a cheat code. In life, getting more out of your staff is huge. Okay? And with me, with this turnover, the biggest thing that we've noticed that our culture is really stinking hard to maintain. Now we're doing it, but keeping everyone on the same page, I feel like the past 2, 3, 4 office meetings have been the same exact meeting. Why? Because I have to reiterate it to people that are here, but the new people have never heard it. We worked really hard over the past 2 years to develop who we are, and then it's gone in an instant, and you have to recreate it. So, simple ways that you can do this to keep your culture going is, one, make it simple. What are the things that you do well? I talk about this all the time in my office. Optical, dry eye, occupant health and wellness. Okay? What are your core values? What are your pillars that your office stands on? Care, quality, timeliness, expertise, consistency. Right? Those are my 5 pillars. Those things, I am beating that drum constantly. Every single day we talk about those things. That's what I expect out of them. When I see it, I reinforce it. You have to be a broken record, right? You have to get them saying and repeating your one-offs, your mantras, your things that you value. When you hear the troops saying what the general is saying, they're saying the same thing, you know the message is getting through. Right? Make that happen. Now, what I'd love to have happen is that my managers are the ones that are beating that drum. That'll come. The problem is I am pushing hard. Just because we've been in a staff turnover, I haven't downscheduled and I haven't let up on what I expect out of my managers. So you get to a point and, we have new staff. Our optical we revamped. We're trying to be more efficient in how we do workups, how we interact with patients. We're literally going to a new office, and we're adding new virtual assistants, new phone system. They're going to be a call center. All of these things are happening right now, and I'm not letting off the gas. When this happens, when you're pushing this hard, whether you have the established staff or a new staff, you're going to look at your staff at a certain point and wonder, are they just overworked or do they just not care? Right? Which one is it? Are they not doing the things that you want because you're asking too much of them, or do they really just not care? They don't know what your values are. Probably a combination of both. The overwork thing, you have to let them know where they can slack off. Again, you got to be careful that this doesn't become the main thing, but let them know these are your priorities. Focus on these 3 things. These things can slide a little bit, right? But delegate, get your other staff to do more, keep pushing them. My manager, main one, is like, everyone keeps coming to me with questions. And I said to her, well, what are you doing to fix that? And she kind of looked at me and said, well, I don't know. And I'm like, what did I do with you? I wouldn't give you the answer. I made you make a decision. If it was different than what I do, I'd say go and do it, but I would have done it this way. Or I let you make the mistake. You know what you did? You didn't make it again. If you let them make a mistake that is so big that it's catastrophic to your office, you failed them. But if they're going to make a mistake and it might be a little bumpy, but they'll learn from it, go ahead and do it. But you got to cut them loose. You got to make sure that they get their hands dirty and learn. Otherwise, you are the easy button, and they will keep coming to you for answers. Okay? So, overworked, you got to get the staff to pull their own weight. Now, let's go over the aspect, and this is what I'm going to spend the rest of the podcast on, is what do you do if you think they just don't care? In my experience, either they don't care because they literally don't care, and they shouldn't be at your office, right? They have other aspirations. It's not a good fit. Get them off the boat. Get them off the bus, move on, find someone new. You're better off without that staff member, even if you're short. But most of the time, they don't care because they don't know they should. And this goes back to another mantra that I've said numerous times on the podcast is we sell what we believe in. If they're not selling the thing, whether it's supplements, dry eye products, glasses, how we do things in regards to scheduling appointments, it's because they don't know why we do this. They don't know why it's important, why it's valuable, right? They have to understand what they are selling. They have to believe in it. And if they're not going through with it to the same level, they don't believe in it. Any salesperson, whether they're, there's a few psychopaths out there that can sell anything. They don't care, and they will just go after it. But for the vast majority of people, if they don't believe in what they're selling, or they get a pushback, or a customer or patient comes back and they give pushback and they don't like it, you'll see them take a step back. They'll still be selling it, but not with the same energy and enthusiasm, right? Thankfully, I vetted everything that we have in our office. I believe in what we have. I have an endless amount of energy to explain this to them. And essentially, that's what I'm going to do. We're going to go through at our next office meeting, set the bar for effort. Where do you need to be? What do we need to do? We're going to then go through everything that we sell, in for lack of a better term. So, lutein. We're going to explain macular degeneration. I'm going to explain glaucoma, why patients have to have their visual fields, why they have to have an OCT. They'll understand the why and what is going on. When they know it's a blinding disease that could lead to complete vision loss, and we're in charge of managing that, they're going to be a little bit more focused in getting the patients to schedule that follow-up, to schedule that appointment, right? Because they know what it can do to their vision, right? They sell it because they believe in it. Non-glare coating and driving at night, right? Why is non-glare coating important? Have you ever had a pair of glasses without it? Sucks, right? I know people complain that they always get dirty, X, Y, or Z. Yeah, but you can see, right? Have you ever had glare on your lenses? Exactly, right? Our non-glare rate is like 90, 95% right now. We are on point for that, right? We do a lot of non-glare. I believe in it that much. Okay? My staff will as well. When it comes to insurances and how we approach that for patients, they have to understand the why. So I'm going to go through all the main things that we are selling and outline the reason behind it. Get them to believe. They will be my best marketing system, right? They have to believe in what they're selling. So a lot of this episode has been, what are you doing when you're bringing in staff? Sometimes we have to, but you have to maintain your culture. How do you do that? I have many of episodes in the past about setting your things that you do well. What are your pillars for success? Going forward, how do you get your managers to get staff to be more independent? There's a lot of things that we can do there. That's another episode, but you have to set them loose. Let them make mistakes. If they keep coming to you and you're overwhelmed, that's a you problem. You failed to give them the tools to be independent, or you are a micromanager that won't let them go, right? Look yourself in the mirror first. And the last thing is, if they're not carrying out the values that you believe in, you have done a poor job of selling them on why they're important. Make them believe, right? You have to do these things. Now, you may be listening to this and say to yourself, you know what? I didn't become a doctor to be a cheerleader. I didn't become a doctor to manage staff. I get it. But did you start a business? If you did, you have one of two responsibilities. One, you are the cheerleader. You do get the most out of your staff. You do manage that culture. Or two, you will hire someone that can do that. That's the beauty of owning the business. You can hire someone to do it. You just have to be willing to pay them and understand that there's a cost to that. And if you don't believe in it or you're not doing it, they are still ultimately going to look to you as the doctor to lead them. So you may not be the one banging the drum, but you better be the one that's carrying out the things that you say you value, because they will see right through you if all you are is talk. In my office, I believe in what we do, and I'll stand by it. They see it, my staff is reinforced. You have to do the same. So all in all, a staffing episode. Let me know your biggest problem with staff, your biggest problem with culture. I want to hear what it is. Let me see if there's similar things that we are experiencing or that I've experienced, and iron sharpens iron. We will all get better. That's what we do. We'll have more for you next week. Where has the time gone? We are to the closing thought of the episode, and I will leave you with this. It is better to admit you walked through the wrong door than spend your life in the wrong room. Oh my. When you're young, you need to realize you're in the wrong room really fast and get out. Right? The older you get, the harder it's going to be to get out of that room. What is it, golden handcuffs, they call it? You get used to a salary, you get used to a lifestyle, a house, etc. And next thing you know, you're in a job that you hate. You're in a relationship that you wish you were never in. You're driving a car that you do not like. Right? Something as simple as that. But don't have the sunk cost fallacy ruin your future. You get in there, you've paid the time, you've paid the fee, get out, move on. Life's too short to be in the wrong room. That's what I have. We'll have more for you next week. Dr. Lily out.